Going to get started so that we can allow you to get through your day and into your Thanksgiving holiday. It is wonderful to see all of your bright and smiling faces, especially at this ridiculously early hour. Happy holiday week. Happy Thanksgiving. My name is Scott Spradling. I will be your MC for the morning. It is wonderful to have all of you here. In just a second, I'm sure. Finish your sentence. It's okay. So as your MC this morning, I get the distinct pleasure of being able to host a fantastic and terrific morning of people, stories, and ways that you can help to help us do the work that Families in Transition does every single day. We are at a remarkable milestone this year. Families in Transition is celebrating 30 years of this event, 30 years of us coming together. Just a fantastic milestone. I know that's a long time to be doing anything. If I was here 30 years ago, I would have had hair and eyesight, so, some of the things you lose along the way. But it's wonderful to have all of you here. It's remarkable to me that we can, in a week of such busyness, be able to pause and gather in such fiercely wonderful numbers. And I just have to say, I feel like this is one of those reasons why I so deeply love the state of New Hampshire and so deeply love this particular community, Greater Manchester, because this is what it's all about. All of us taking that moment in what is arguably that final crazy rush in our own lives to be able to get ready for Thursday, which may include sharp elbows and market basket or trying how to beat the traffic. That's our mindset, and yet here we are at a very early hour. Did I mention that we're here in such large numbers to do something right, to do something special for our community? There are a lot of people in need. Ask all of you to please rise and join me in welcoming two students from Manchester Memorial High School, Jenna Mori Suleiman and Ace Minueza Duran. They will sing our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Jenna and Ace, thank you very much. Beautifully done. So we have a wonderful program for you today. We also are going to bring food so that nobody passes out. As you can see in the room, we have a lot of people, a lot of folks really came together to make this morning work. And I'd like to take a minute to begin by introducing a few of our special guests and state leaders that are joining us today. We're very honored to have Congressman Chris Pappas joining us. Good morning, Congressman. Manchester Mayor Joyce Craig is joining us this morning. Happy Thanksgiving, Mayor. Mayor-elect Jay Rouet is also here this morning. Jay, thank you. DHHS Associate Commissioner Christine Santinello is here. Good morning, Christine. There she is out back. Hi, Christine. State Senator Lou D'Alessandro is in here somewhere. It's not an event without Lou. There he is. Hillsborough County Commissioner Tony Pappas is here with us this morning. Tony, good morning. There she is. I'd also like to take just a quick moment to recognize the members of the Board of Directors for Families in Transition. If you could please rise and be recognized. Thank you for all that you do and the contributions you make all year long. We'd also like to take a moment because we really feel like it's an important thing to do given the amount of need that there is and the sort of the deep pockets of our corporate and nonprofit community, our friends and benefactors. There is a list that I just want to be able to move through because I think it's really important, especially now, to recognize the generosity of our local businesses. All of you do so much to give back to this community, and it's really incredibly meaningful. So thank you on behalf of Families in Transition to our premier sponsor, Cogswell Benevolent Trust, our keynote sponsor, AutoFair. Feeding the community sponsors is Comcast and Fotidis Wealth Management. Community partner sponsor, Spectrum Marketing Companies. Our stable housing sponsors include AmeriHealth Caritas New Hampshire, Bank Prov, Coca-Cola Beverages Northeast, Bishop's Charitable Assistance Fund, Eastern Bank, M&T Bank, Members First Credit Union, Northeast Credit Union, the Pinnacle Foundation, RBC Wealth Management, Generational Management Wealth Group, Rise Private Wealth Management, She & Finney, Soil Away, and Barry Wolper. Thank you all very much for helping make this moment possible. So every day at Families in Transition, we have an opportunity to affect the course of the direction of lives. Each day, they work with families and adults who have asked for help. And the number of families and adults asking for help is on the rise. This year, we've seen an average of 800 households visit our food pantry every month. 800 every month. That's up 30% over the last 2 years. Our adult emergency shelter has been at or near capacity every day this year, every day in 2023, with little relief during the middle months when it tends to get warmer. As expected, when emergency rental assistance funding ended, which was providing assistance to families so they could stay in hotels and avoid eviction, the waiting list at our family emergency shelter grew from 60 to 85. So it shouldn't be surprising we've seen in Manchester, in New Hampshire, in New England, in this country, that the continued fallout from COVID-19 and the pandemic has been disproportionately hard on the most vulnerable. Our keynote speaker, guest, and friend Mark Horvath knows this all too well. As founder and CEO of Invisible People, Mark has been developing and helping to dismantle and challenge traditional stereotypes of homelessness through education, storytelling, news, and advocacy. For this and many other reasons you'll hear about today, we're asking for your help to ensure that today, tomorrow, and every day moving forward, Families in Transition can continue to prevent and break the cycle of homelessness. So here's how you can help. Our goal this morning is to have 100% of you in this room make a meaningful donation. And I'm not good with math, but I'm pretty sure that means all of us. Whether that donation is $5,000, $50, whatever you can afford, what matters today is that you just give and support this amazing organization. So more on that soon. We also need your help in amplifying and making a call to action to your friends, to colleagues, and the community at large. This is a really good moment in time for that because we're all sort of heart swollen with wanting to give and be thankful and recognize family and be with friends. So the timing of this is wonderful, and I want all of you to capitalize it and shame your friends and family into giving. So take a quick moment, take a selfie, caption a picture of the room, share it out on Facebook or LinkedIn or X if it hasn't gone bankrupt. Snap a picture of our QR code, repost it, and share other posts. You can let your network and your community know that today you're here to support this important work. So feel free to do that as we're eating breakfast. So thanks, everybody. And right now I would like to welcome and introduce Roy Tilsley, our board chair for Families in Transition. Roy?
Good morning, everyone. It's wonderful to have you today. We have a great program this morning, and we are excited to kick off the holiday season again with you this year. My name is Roy Tilsley, and I have the honor of serving as board chair for Families in Transition. On behalf of the board staff, we would like to thank you for joining us this morning. For many of us, the 30th anniversary of this event has compelled us to take the time to reflect on the journey and acknowledge the work that we as a community have accomplished along the way. I was in this room 30 years ago for the first breakfast. I was probably about this tall, and little did I know that I'd have the privilege of addressing the whole room today in my capacity as board chair. For me, my board journey began when I joined the board at what was then New Horizons in 2006. At that time, New Horizons was a very different organization, providing critical services and impacting a unique population of our community. In 2006, it was a long time ago. We weren't just pre-COVID, we were a lot of different things. Here's what was going on back then when I first joined the board. The Patriots were 12-4, lost in the AFC Championship game. This year, the highlight of the season is the bye week. George W. Bush was president, Twitter was launched, Pluto was demoted, it was no longer a planet, and the iPhone had not yet been sold yet. Things were very different when I joined this board in 2006. Looking back on that journey, I can stand here now grateful, impressed, and proud of how Families in Transition came to be the organization that you see today. Last year, nearly 10,000 people were served through this amazing organization. Because of our affordable housing, emergency shelters, food pantry, and substance use programs, we help put food on the table, provide a bed to sleep in, provide daily access to treatment, and provide a home. We also provide people that we serve with the respect and dignity that everyone deserves. Families in Transition has evolved and grown into one of the largest providers in New Hampshire to offer a continuum of services designed to prevent and break the cycle of homelessness. Because of this, we get to see and do big things. Our food pantry, largely staffed by a dedicated community of volunteers, is providing food to 800 households every month. Last year, when we opened our new building on 434 Union Street, we filled all 11 units with individuals who had previously been staying in our adult emergency shelter. And I was over there last week, and of those 11 people, I think 10 of them are still living in this permanent housing situation rather than being back on the streets. And at the Family Emergency Shelter, we are working with partners like the Manchester Police Athletic League to not just provide shelter, but to give kids and parents an opportunity to be a family and just have some fun. This is what it is all about, intentional and deliberate support that can break the cycle of homelessness and put a family or adult on a path of hope and stability. But guess what, folks? These achievements, this impact, this work comes at a price. Today, I have the privilege of asking you for your help and support. As you'll hear shortly from Maria and our friend Mark Horvath, our goals are achievable. The question is, will you please join us? On behalf of the Board of Directors and the entire team at Families in Transition, and on a personal note, thank you for being here to celebrate an organization that I care so deeply about. Thank you and happy holidays. Thank you.
Thanks, Roy. So we'll begin breakfast now, and just so you aren't surprised when someone like Mike Simoneau shows up at your table, ambassadors for FIT will be coming by your tables to say hi. I'll be back in about 10 minutes. We'll give them enough time to get the food out, and then we'll keep this rolling because we know we got stuff to do this week. So enjoy your breakfast. Food service is continuing, but in an effort to remain efficient, I'm going to bring us back into our program so that we can continue moving right along. Hope you're enjoying your breakfast. As we resume our program, I would like to direct your attention to our video screens with a quick word from some of the members of our New Hampshire congressional delegation.
Congratulations to Families in Transition on your 30th annual breakfast. This event is an Opportunity to reflect on the incredible impact Families in Transition has made over the last year, and to recommit ourselves to driving their mission forward. Everyone deserves access to safe and stable housing without having to worry about their next meal. Families in Transition is on the front lines of meeting these basic needs for vulnerable Granite Staters. Their work is made possible when they have the strong support from the surrounding community. Thank you to everyone this morning for being here and for being part of the solution. Good morning, and congratulations.
I am Senator Maggie Hassan. I'm sorry that I'm unable to join you today, but I wanted to thank you for participating in the 30th Annual Families in Transition Breakfast. I am deeply grateful for your efforts to help vulnerable Granite Staters who are struggling to make ends meet. Your commitment to your community embodies New Hampshire at its very best. With your continued dedication, I know that we can build a brighter future for more Granite Staters. Happy Thanksgiving.
Chris Pappas. Today we mark the 30th year of this event, which is critical to funding Families in Transition's important work that they do each and every day. The mission of providing food, shelter, and substance use disorder services for Granite Staters enables people to gain self-sufficiency and saves people's lives. In New Hampshire, we don't give up on those who are struggling, and there are many ways for us to help and to be of service to others. Families in Transition embodies that spirit, and we're a better state because of their work and your support for this organization. So thanks for being a part of this and supporting a great cause. I hope everyone has a happy and safe Thanksgiving. Take care.
Thank you to our delegation. And I know what you're thinking. Wait a minute. You said hi to Chris Pappas in the room this morning. That's right. The man doubles down on his representation of the 1st District. He's both here and on video. An amazing effort. Chris, thank you. The work of Families in Transition really depends on the relationships we have with our congressional delegation, our community leaders, the many different myriad nonprofits that help weave our services together, donations from the private community. But we can't get any of it done without really strong connections and an important, critical relationship with City Hall. Our city's leaders are the sort of compass heading for what it is that we need to be able to accomplish every day here in this community. And for the last several years, we've had a true friend in the corner office at City Hall in Joyce Craig. And she's outgoing as mayor. She's choosing a new direction, but she has served with distinction in this city for a number of years. And from the perspective of Families in Transition and this entire conversation about helping the plight of those who need to be lifted up, she's been someone who has really rolled up her sleeves and opened her doors, opened her heart, and tried to bend the resources of this city into serving the needs of those who need that extra help. So it is my honor to be able to introduce Mayor Joyce Craig for a few words.
Good morning. What a great way to start the day with all of you. And Congressman Pappas, I do want to welcome you home. It's wonderful to have you here. So I want to thank you for joining together to celebrate the importance of giving and highlighting the essential work of Families in Transition. By being here today, you're helping to provide shelter, affordable housing, food, and much needed services to members of our community who need it most. Last year, 9,700 individuals were served by Fitz Housing, emergency shelter, substance use treatment, and food services. 192,000 meals were served. 221 families with children stayed at the emergency family shelter. And 7,500 hours were worked by volunteers. None of this would be possible without the generosity of all of you in this room and everyone in our community, and I want to thank you very much. As you know, Families in Transition is the largest emergency shelter in the state of New Hampshire. They provide much-needed shelter beds for Manchester residents, as well as residents throughout our state who are experiencing homelessness. And as substance use disorder and mental illness continue to affect residents throughout New Hampshire, and vacancy rates are next to zero, we know this is a difficult time to do this work. My deepest gratitude goes out to the staff at FIT, who are unwavering in their support for our most vulnerable residents. I know this work isn't easy. Families in Transition has been a leader in the effort to prevent and break the cycle of homelessness for over 30 years, growing and adapting along the way to meet the ever-changing needs of the people that they serve. And the challenges that they're facing right now may be the toughest yet, with more people across New Hampshire experiencing housing instability than ever before. Homelessness, housing instability, food insecurity are all a growing challenge in our state. But in Manchester, we are so fortunate to have a number of nonprofits, including Families in Transition, supporting some of our most vulnerable residents. Yet we know there's still so much more work to do in our community and throughout the state. So again, I am thankful for all of you being here, for your generosity and your support of Families in Transition. They play a critical role in addressing these significant needs that we are facing within our city and within our state. And I encourage you to open up your wallets today and give to this fabulous organization. I want to thank you and wish you the best this Thanksgiving.
Mayor, it has been my honor to have worked with you over the past 3 years, supporting this organization as well as all the nonprofits here in the city of Manchester. And on behalf of myself, our board of directors, all of our staff at Families in Transition, we would like to honor you with a small gift that just shows you how much you have supported us, but also how much you believe in the city of Manchester and the state of New Hampshire.
Another one of the things that I'm excited about is the type of intense relationships, the close-knit relationship vibe that we have in this community. As we celebrate Joyce and her service to Manchester and her cooperation, collaboration, and friendship to Families in Transition, I note that Jay Rouet is sitting 2 seats next to her, and they've been able to chat and share ideas and formulate ways in which the transition for our community into new leadership is a positive one. That's who we are. It's what we do. And I celebrate that just as much as I celebrate this gathering of us coming together to overcome challenges. The tip of the spear for the effort at Families in Transition is also a part of that conversation. You saw her just a second ago, and we're going to get her right back up here. She's a dear friend of mine and someone who, she answers the bell. And the kind of work that Families in Transition does, it can be focused a lot on the shelter. That's the higher profile of the activities. There's a lot that goes on, and there are literally hundreds and thousands of mouths to feed and hearts to comfort. And she's there 24/7 doing this work. So ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor to introduce the President and CEO of Families in Transition, Maria Devlin.
There's a lot of people here. Good morning. It's an honor to be here on our 30th anniversary. I'm Maria Devlin. I am privileged to be the president and CEO of this magnificent organization. And I am frankly just humbled and honored that all of you are joining us here today. I want to take a moment to thank you, to thank all of our sponsors and everyone here who made today possible. Your collective leadership, support, and advocacy enables and empowers organizations like us to prosper in New Hampshire, and for that I am truly grateful. So 30 years. 30 years. It's a long time. I have spent all of my career, over 30 years, in the nonprofit world. And I have the honor and privilege of also having a 30-year-old daughter. So I know 30 years can go by very quickly, but also how many things can change and stay the same. When I think about 30 years, I think about our history. I look at the people who came before me. I look at how things have changed, like I said, and how they've stayed the same. When you look back on the history of Families in Transition, it's hard not to see and be impressed by the growth, expansion, reach, and impact this organization has experienced. From the consistent effort to develop properties and affordable housing to the merger with New Horizons, Families in Transition has been compelled by a mission to prevent and break the cycle of homelessness. In fact, I can honestly say that all of our decisions, from how we interact and engage with our participants in our programs, to how we set our annual goals, we are, and always have been, persistently focused on the mission. When Maureen Beauregard founded Families in Transition, it was with one building on Spruce Street. It housed 5 families. Today, we have 26 buildings that provide housing, shelter, food, and treatment options to hundreds of families and adults. I think this is what Maureen always envisioned for this organization, and it has been my honor to serve as its second leader for the past 3 years. I am in awe of what this organization has accomplished, and I am confident that the next 30 years are going to be just as good, but it also is going to require all of you. For 30 years, we've come together at this event. Maybe not as many as Roy has attended, but I'm sure there's some of you who have been to almost all 30 years of this event. But we've come together to recognize and support the efforts to care and support adults and families experiencing homelessness. For 30 years, Families in Transition has said, "We see you and we care about you." We have said that dignity is something given to all of our community members because homelessness is an experience people have. It's not an indicator of their character. For 30 years, we have said that essential services are essential rights when someone needs help. For 30 years, we've been working to meet these goals with many of you. During this journey, things have changed. Sometimes those changes were by design and strategic, like the merger of Families in Transition and New Horizon back in 2018, while other changes were necessary and essential, like our response to the coronavirus and COVID-19. But these changes, whether anticipated or not, have been anchored by a shared mission and shared belief that we can prevent and break the cycle of homelessness, and that every person we meet deserves our dignity and respect. In a few minutes, you're going to hear from Mark Horvath. The work that Mark and his organization is doing is so terribly important. The stories, the learning, the access that Invisible People creates and supports truly honors a commitment of treating everyone with the dignity that they deserve. It's showing people that we see them, that we hear them, and that we are there for them. The stories that Invisible People makes available are authentic and unfiltered. And while you may not always understand somebody's story, sometimes understanding is not always the goal. Oftentimes, it's more about empathy and compassion. I'd like to close by sharing a thought that has been on top of mind the past few weeks. I've been looking forward to being in this room, and I'd like everyone to just take a look around. Really, just take a look around. There's over 550 people in this room this morning. 550 people. And this is about how many people laid their head down in one of Families in Transition's beds last night, either in our housing program, our sheltering program, or in our treatment program. Over 550 people last night, the same amount of people who are in this room this morning. And honestly, we do this every single night. Every single night, we're making sure that over 550 people have a safe place to stay. Every day, we have staff working hard, first shift, second shift, third shift, 24/7, 365 days a year. This morning, our kitchen opened at 5:30, earlier than all of you getting here this morning, and they begin to prep the 500 meals that they will be making today for our shelter residents at our adult shelter as well as at our treatment center. We also had volunteers who actually arrived at the adult shelter at 6 a.m. to help prep. If any of you are interested, there's tons of volunteer opportunities available. And our case management team is prepping for the day to get ready to serve families and individuals, making sure that they have the things that they need in order to remain housed and stable. Our case management team works with people to make sure that we are providing the hope and the dignity that they all deserve. We've done a lot at Families in Transition in 30 years, and we couldn't have done it without all of you. And we couldn't have done it without the people who came before us. Leaders like Maureen Beauregard, Charlie Sherman, and a lot of my colleagues who are in the room today, Stephanie Savard, Lisa Allard, Chris Wellington, people who came before me, and for the people who will come after. All of the people have made Families in Transition what it is today. This organization does a lot, and we will continue to do a lot because this is what the community and the state expects and needs from us. But more importantly, we will continue to do a lot because that's what the people we serve need from us. For the next 30 years, we expect to continue to build upon the 30 years before us, and we'll continue to think about what the community needs and do our best to be able to provide it. You heard already that we run a very large food pantry. It serves hundreds of families every month. We operate the state's largest emergency shelter, along with the state and the city, to make sure that 138 people have a safe place to stay every night. We run 2 family shelters. Families who have no place else to go, they come to us when they are seeking refuge and help and support. Our substance use treatment program will continue to provide inpatient and outpatient support to women and women with children because that is what they need from us. It's also why we need all of you. You're going to hear this time and time again, to support the work that we do in order to make sure that we can maintain the work for another 30 years. By supporting our work, you are helping us meet our most vulnerable community members so that they are seen, so that they are heard, and that they know where they can find help. Today and for the last 30 years, we've come together during the holiday season to support the work addressing the challenges of homelessness. Our commitment to human dignity, to healthy families, and a vibrant community remains strong. We thank you very much for being here. Scott.
Thank you, Maria. Friends, Mark Horvath is the founder and CEO of Invisible People. And we invited him here to New Hampshire, to Manchester this morning, because I know so many of you are repeat attenders to this event, and we appreciate the heart and soul and financial donations that you give to us, but there's also teachable moment opportunities here. This can be a complicated and difficult path for serving our community when it comes to the many different needs and challenges facing those who are staring down the barrel of homelessness. People seek to give a face and voice to homelessness through innovative storytelling, news, and advocacy. And since launching in 2008, Invisible People has become a pioneer and trusted resource for cause campaigns with major brands like Hanes, Ford, Pepsi, GM, and Ritz Crackers. In 2018, the Nonprofit Times included Mark in their 2018 Power and Influence Top 50 Nonprofit Executives. Mark lives in Los Angeles, California, joins us today for our 30th anniversary. Please welcome me and join me in welcoming Mark Horvath.
Thank you, everybody. And Maria, that was the best description of invisible people that I've ever heard. That was really something. And thank you, everybody, for having me. It's been a wonderful 3 days. I'm going to go pretty fast here because you all want to get on with your day. And my one and only goal, I want to educate and inspire. So turn on the clicker is the first step. I moved to Los Angeles in 1987, and I had a job as a cook in South Central Los Angeles at a nursing home. And my car broke down. I took public transportation for the first time. First time riding Los Angeles public transportation. And a homeless man got on the bus, and he had a bucket of dead fish. Kid you not. And as he is walking down the aisle, everybody started either sitting in the empty seat or putting their purse or their shopping bag. So this homeless man would not sit next to him. I'm not that type of person, and it was my first experience, and one of my first experiences with a homeless person. So I had an empty seat, and he sat down next to me. I don't know what smelled worse, the homeless man or the bucket of dead fish. It was a horrible experience. And I did not ride the public transportation until I became that homeless man. I remember getting on a bus and going down the aisle as a homeless person, and everybody was putting something on that empty seat so I would not sit next to them. I rebuilt my life back to a 3-bedroom house and cushy marketing job. Prior to my own homelessness, I had a great job in the television industry, making sure the world got Wheel of Fortune, Jeopardy, Married with Children, and a bunch of old shows some of you might remember, like St. Elsewhere. And I ended up homeless on Hollywood Boulevard. I literally sold pictures of my iguana to tourists. That's how I survived. But the 2008 economy crashed, and I lost everything again except my sobriety. So I grabbed the camera, and I went out and I started interviewing homeless people. And I want to tell you, I wanted to change the world, but that would not be the truth. I just needed purpose to keep going. I was 19 months unemployed, not consecutively. I'd get a job and get laid off, get a job and get laid off. And it was a real scary time. So I just grabbed the camera. I built a website, $45, registered everything. And I started taking off traveling, interviewing homeless people. Invisible People now is a nonprofit media publisher. We do daily news, Apple News, Google News, mini documentaries, scripted films. We do a lot. We reach 20 to 30 million people each and every month, and the work is extremely important. So here, Princeton University did a study on what the public believes about homelessness. And please forgive me, I have old eyes. And people basically view homeless people as having no redeeming qualities. Not anybody here, but those people out there, no redeeming qualities. So the foundation of everything that I do in my work and my beliefs is that our inability to relate to homelessness is one of our biggest obstacles to solving it. Now, when I'm speaking to a smaller room, I usually open this up for, some interaction. When you see an image like this, or maybe you're walking or driving and you see a homeless person, what first comes to mind? I was speaking at a church and people responded, dirty, drug addict. That's what first comes to mind. What do you think about? I mean, there's too many people here to do the exercise and for time, but what comes to mind? Mike has been homeless for 8 years. He was able to rent a room on his retirement for $550 a month, but then it started to go for $1,200 a month, and he's been homeless ever since. Semba was a caregiver for his wife, and when his wife died, they evicted him. Eric was a computer technician, and this is his bed every night. And Alyssa sleeps outside of the apartment building that she lived in for 14 years. Dale did 2 tours of Vietnam. When I asked him if he's getting help, he said all he gets from the VA is coffee and donuts. Rashid was at the World Trade Center at 9:38 in the morning at 9/11. He worked construction for the next 4 years, cleaning it up, developed health issues, and when I met him, he was living in a park in park in New York City, sorry. And Drew is an engineer. A drunk driver hit their car, killed his wife and his daughter, and he's been drinking ever since. When I met him in Tampa, Florida, there was no support. And John, his mom tried to drown him when he was 5 years old. Perry, mom was a heroin addict, and heroin made her feel good. When Perry got sick at 12 years old, she shot him up with heroin because she wanted him to feel good. And the reason I'm sharing these stories is that you have some understanding of homelessness and homeless people and drug addiction and people outside. This is Delaney, and Delaney has been arrested 20 times for the crime of not having a home. He would not have a criminal record if he was not outside homeless. All of his, and it's like trespassing, sit and lie, but she sleeps in her car with her 4 kids. She sleeps next to her car because in many cities in the United States, it's now illegal to sleep in your car. But this is the homelessness you need to see. This is the homelessness that you don't see. Majority of homelessness is children and youth. These are photos that I took when I was working as a case manager and a family case manager. This father, I'll never forget, he was carrying his daughter. They lived in a family shelter, and he was carrying his daughter like you would see parents in Africa. He was carrying his daughter, never letting her feet touch the ground. And it just spoke volumes to me. I mean, I can't imagine being a parent in a family shelter. I mean, I'd be grateful for the family shelter, of course. But raising kids. When I was traveling shortly after 2008, I visited the Nevada Partnership of Homeless Youth, and I asked them, what's your biggest problem? And they said, families downsizing. And what? Families downsizing? And Nevada got hit hard with the mortgage crisis. And families were moving out of their 3-bedroom homes into small apartments, kicking out their oldest kids. That didn't really compute to me until I was at a homeless shelter in Detroit, and this woman's mom brought them to the homeless shelter. Sergey was 18. This is his 18th birthday. And we're seeing 2 demographics of homelessness that are growing. One is youth, and the other is seniors. Homeless shelters are starting to look like nursing homes, and it's going to tax social services. And its boomers are the biggest population, are getting older. Majority of people with mental illness, the majority of people that have substance use disorder will never experience homelessness. They live in apartments and houses. West Virginia has the highest per capita drug addiction of any state in the country, but they don't have a lot of homelessness. Why? Affordable housing. For every $100 increase in median rent, homelessness increases by 9%. I'm going to repeat that. For every $100 increase in median rent, homelessness increases by 9%. The leading cause of homelessness is the lack of affordable housing. Chipotle now has a robot to make burritos. AI is here. It's not going away. The train has left the station. Who would want a robot to clean your toilets? Right? AI is going to create jobs, but they're high-end jobs. Computer science, the lower-end jobs like making burritos and cleaning toilets are going away. We have a perfect storm of homelessness coming. We have to prevent the causes of homelessness. And we have to solve homelessness for the people that are experiencing it now. This is one of my favorite quotes. The significant problems we have cannot be solved at the same level of thinking with which we created them. These are drawings of homeless shelters, 1898, 1897. See the mom holding her baby? This is the Glendale Winter Shelter. See any difference? It's 100 years. One's a drawing, black and white. One's color. We're still warehousing people 100 years later. And please hear me, shelters play a viable part in a community-wide solution to solve homelessness. Families in Transition, I did a tour yesterday. They're actually housing more people than are in their emergency shelter. You know how important that is? The issue is we've gotten really good, or much better, at closing the back door, housing people. But the front door is wide open. I was at an event with the mayor of Sacramento a couple days ago, and he said for every person they get out of homelessness, 3 new people enter into homelessness. Pallet shelters. A lot of politicians call these tiny homes. To me, a home has to have a kitchen and a bathroom, right? By law, jail cells have to be bigger than these. These are growing across the country, along with a movement to force homeless people into camps. The criminalization of homelessness continues to grow. We cannot just push homeless people to other parts of the city, especially with homeless numbers growing. And to be honest, when I was researching for this talk, I was like, wow, that's a lot of money per inmate. But it's from the New York City Comptroller website. I mean, it's not like from a news media or any place. It's from New York City. I know in California, it's around $100,000 per inmate. But the thinking that we're going to arrest our way out of homelessness is just crazy. And that's where we're going. I mean, criminalization is a response, it's not a solution. And in fact, there's a movement. In Tennessee, it's now a felony to be homeless. In Missouri, it's a 15-day jail fine or a 15-day jail or a $750 fine. But the state, this law that was passed, cannot invest in affordable housing, in solutions like family in transition. One of the most expensive responses to homelessness is doing nothing. People that are left outside, whether it be emergency medical or police or shelter response or social services, cost you as a taxpayer a huge amount of money. So when you're walking by and say you're not giving to that person, you're giving to that person. Housing homeless people is not only the best solution for outcomes, it is also the most cost-effective to taxpayers.
He's gone. He's gone. He's gone. He's out hiding.
And, when I was talking to this morning, I was trying to get, where did you go?
Whoa, 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 whoa. That's him.
Where?
Right up there.
Right up there to your right.
Yeah.
You want to stop?
Yeah, but pull up. Let me just go.
Because you're the one I actually trust.
You're going to make me cry, Lanny.
Because you're making me cry. Because I love you.
I love you too, Lanny.
And I don't want anything bad to happen. Tell me what you're going to help me with. Anything else?
Well, we're close. We're closest we've been in 3 years to get you into housing. We're the closest we've been.
I was a street outreach worker, and our mission in that previous program was to identify people that were particularly vulnerable because of their mental illness or addiction, and if we felt they might be a danger to people, we would take them to Bellevue Hospital. 2 or 3 weeks after the hospitalization, that same person would be back on the street. The repetition of that cycle began to be very disturbing and began to raise a number of questions of, like, what are we doing? Maybe you have a little short-term gain, but that person just spent 30 days in the hospital at $1,500 a day. That's $45,000. We could have bought them a condo. Certainly paid the rent for a long time. What we decided to do was to start listening to the people on the street and take our cue about what to do from them. It led very, very quickly to the idea that housing is the most important thing to a homeless person, regardless of mental illness or addiction or anything else. And once they're housed, they'll consider it. Maybe treatment, maybe reconnecting with family, maybe having their kids come back, maybe looking for a job. But the first response was always housing.
Here we are in Lanny's new apartment, and he actually went and did put all his cupboards and stuff away. That's pretty amazing, man. And how long has it been since you've had an apartment?
Oh, seems like a century.
A century? Well, almost has, because you were homeless since 2002.
Right.
That's insane.
Yeah, it is.
So, how you feeling?
Elated. Very good.
Yeah, it hasn't hit me yet.
I feel human again.
You feel human again. How did getting a set of keys make you feel different?
That I was finally home. That I was finally in a place where I can start focusing on bettering myself.
The remarkable thing was that people did so well. People once housed began to have a life, even though they still suffered with addiction and mental illness. People have a functional ability that is quite separate from their diagnosis, it turns out. You can believe that the government is after you, or that there are people flying in from outer space and they're going to, take over the planet. And leaving all that aside, you can still go, get a ham and cheese sandwich and some French fries and have a meal, or go shopping and all of that. They are like two hands doing independent things. So that was a great surprise, and I think most gratifying was the fact that people can get housed immediately from the street, and they can be supported to keep that housing.
When I met Lanny, he was blowing a .48. He was a retired Air Force veteran, and his wife died, and he was drinking himself to death after his wife died. And once we got him into housing, no treatment. Treatment's important, but no treatment, anything. He immediately just stopped drinking, because housing provides dignity. Housing, along with treatment, has the best outcomes if we're going to solve homelessness. Shelters plus housing are vital. Shelters don't work if there's no path to housing. Housing is the most important to prevent and solve homelessness, which is what you guys are all here supporting families in transition to make happen. This is Joseph, and I was an outreach case manager when he came to our facility. And Joseph had maggots in his leg. So the first thing we did was take him to the hospital. And I divorced with no goldfish, so I got nothing better to do to hang out with homeless people. And so I would go visit him in the hospital room. And, back then, there wasn't the support there is now, and even now, there's not a lot of support to housing, especially from hospitals. And I would say, Joseph, man, you've got to stay here. You've got to milk it. Do a lot of coughing. You got I Love Lucy on the TV. You're getting free meals. Stay here as long, because I didn't want him to be homeless again. And a coworker of mine found a loophole in the grant, and we were able to get him into housing. So this is his first stake in 13 years. Look at that smile. A couple weeks later, I took him out to Bob's Big Boy. I asked him to smile. He said no. I asked him why. He said, because you're not buying me steak. Thank you all very much for having me, and please, please support families in transition.
Mark, thank you so much. Definitely food for thought. Before we let you go and turn you loose into your Thanksgiving holiday planning, I'd like to draw your attention once more to our screen.
Every 24 hours, your support helps us to prepare and serve over 400 meals.
Every day, you help feed 80 households through our food pantry.
Every morning, over 300 people wake up in the comfort of their own home.
Daily, your donations to Outfitters Thrift Store provides much needed clothing to those in need at our adult emergency shelter.
Every night, 18 families like mine rest their heads of the safety of our emergency shelters.
Every day, staff like me help participants to address the root cause of their homelessness by providing supportive services across all of our programs.
Every day, our staff provide outreach and case management to those living unsheltered in our community.
Every day, you, our committed volunteers and dedicated supporters, help families in transition prevent and break the cycle of homelessness.
Every day, our Willow Substance Use Treatment Center ensures people in recovery have access to the highest quality recovery services.
Every day, hundreds of kids like me go to school because they live in fit housing.
You make every day a better day.
So there's a thumbnail sketch into what goes on behind the scenes at Families in Transition. Once again, many thanks to Mark for putting some faces and a personal story, a personal touch on the homelessness situation really around our country. What we experience here in Greater Manchester is very similar to what's going on elsewhere. And he gave us some really great thoughts and ideas. So now we crescendo to optimism before I send you off into the world. You've got your programs. On the very back is one of the easiest exercises ever to be able to just give. You take your phone, you click on the bottom right corner, that opens it up into this. the donate now, give what you would like. It's up to $5,000, but the number can be whatever you are most comfortable with. Please give uncomfortably if you can. You just click, you fill out your financial information, hit contribute, it will click in for $5,000. Joyce, thanks for letting me borrow your phone. I appreciate that. At $2,500, Families in Transition operates an impressive and lovely food pantry over on Lake Avenue. Thanks to a wonderful partnership with Hannaford, our food pantry is bringing in food to families and households in need. So for $2,500, you can provide 20 bags of groceries for families. A big, big difference maker. For $1,000, you can provide a family like Rachel, who's one of our consumers, with a month of rent, a full month of rent. Talk about a peace of mind. There's more than 500 people sleeping in beds provided by Families in Transition, and that includes more than 300 beds in our emergency housing. Our residents are still on their journey to exit homelessness, and sometimes it can take 3 to 5 years before a family or an individual truly becomes self-sufficient and sustainable. So along the way, they need this kind of help. So that $1,000 for a month, I mean, think about the insecurity levels that come with not exactly knowing where your rent payment is going to come from, or not exactly knowing where your food income payment is going to come from. This is where today you can make a real meaningful difference. Or $250 can provide case management to help people navigate this difficult time. There's a woman named Sue, right, who supports the team of case managers, and she works with the individuals to sit down one-on-one with participants to navigate their course out of homelessness. They work on jobs, on training, education, getting health benefits, food vouchers. These are the kinds of things that your donations are able to help fuel. So before we close this out, a couple of just basic reminders. First of all, thank you. Thank you for donating your time and your passion and your energy. I was watching as many faces as I could from my seat while Mark was speaking. I just saw so many people like nodding, understanding, absorbing, and leaning in to this conversation. It means so much. We know, we've watched the headlines, we understand. It's everywhere, it's constant, it is a challenge. It has been a difficult challenge. And as Mark points out, you know, the pandemic and our economy is creating a ripple effect of real challenge that is not getting any easier without us being able to take some kind of action. So thank you for being here. If you're making your donation by check or cash, you can use the envelopes that I believe are on your table. They're probably somewhere nearby. There will be representatives who will come and collect them. The flowers are for you. Please take them back to your offices or bring them home or give them to someone you like, or maybe make amends with someone you don't like and hand them flowers. I'm going to leave all that up to you. Remember, if you parked in the hotel garage, there is a validation stamp at the bar out front. And last but not least, there are cookies. You can see them wrapped up, the adorable little cookies, a token of our appreciation to each and every one of you. So on a personal note, I just want to thank everyone. I hope you have a wonderful holiday season, a very happy Thanksgiving. Thank you on behalf of Maria Devlin and the entire team at Families in Transition. We appreciate you. Happy holidays, everyone, and thank you. Take care.